But what I've noticed after COVID, people are now more relaxed to go with the outsourced bookkeeping services. So before COVID, we heard all the time, well, I want my bookkeeper to be local. I want to meet with them in person every week. And, after that, Zoom is just fine. And your
Yeah.
bookkeeper can be at the other, side of the world.
Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS, Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. Max Emma's with us today. And Max, no one knows Max better than Max. So, Max, give us the backstory, bring us up to speed. And I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Sounds great, Richard. Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Max Emma. Huh, where do I start? I guess I start when I came to this country from the former Soviet Union almost 33 years ago without any English. I was lucky I came with my family, so it wasn't just me. Learned the language, got my education in finance, and after working for corporate America for about 4 years, I realized that the corporate world is not necessarily for me. My joke is that I've constantly been kissing the wrong butt, and I guess I wasn't very good at it. So I decided to leave and join a small family business with 3 employees. And after taking over, grew it to 96 employees. It was construction business. And then, of course, 08 or 09 happened and they stopped building and we were doing landscaping of tract homes. So I lost everything. I had to do both business bankruptcy and personal bankruptcy because in construction you have to personally guarantee a lot of stuff. And with one baby at home and one on the way, I can tell you, Richard, it wasn't a fun experience. So luckily for me, no jobs were available at the time. And I say luckily because otherwise I probably would give up my entrepreneurship and just say, you know what? It's not for me. I'm gonna go and get a job. But no jobs were available, so I didn't have a choice but open another company. This time I was more successful. We were able to grow it and sell it. And while we were doing that, and also the landscape company with 96 employees, I ran it together with my wife at a time, and she had masters in accounting. I was a village idiot with the bachelor in finance, but both of us were so busy running and growing the business that we did not pay attention to the financials. And that's the first time we started talking about, hey, would be nice if there is a bookkeeping company that we can sit to. Believe it or not, back then, this practically did not exist. We're talking about 08 or 09 and 2010. Mostly it was solopreneur bookkeepers and CPA firms that some of them did offer bookkeeping services. So we had this vision, and that's how Bookkeeping was born. So it started in the garage. I was running the landscape maintenance company, and my wife was babysitting the kids and doing the work. And then finally, we sold the landscape maintenance business and concentrated on this full time and hired the first employee. And the rest, I guess, is the history. Also, a few years in, by accident, we got into franchising. We started doing bookkeeping for one of the franchise brands in the US, then second one, third one. And before I knew it, that became our niche. And I really like being franchisors because once you meet these people, you understand that they are very giving people. They want to help. When I go to a conference, I always learn from them. And, I told myself when I grow up, I will want to be like one of them. And I guess I've grown up and I franchise my business. And Bookkeeping is now the only bookkeeping franchise in the United States. We're selling pretty much in all the states And that's what I was doing for a while still running the bookkeeping as the corporate entity. And now we do bookkeeping for 110 franchise brands in the US. Okay. And I don't know if it's my blessing or my curse, but I can't just stand still. So I did not have a in my head, but continue to go. And then so I opened the franchise brokerage. So if somebody's not a good match for bookkeeping, I can help them to choose over 100 different, oh, sorry, over 600 different franchise brands in the US. And this is more like a personality test, and we're talking. And I know a lot of the CEOs of these brands personally, so I can just tell them, hey, this would be a better fit for you. And that's what I do. I mean, of course, I have teams in all three businesses, so I would not be able to do it without the team. But ultimately, no matter which business people to go to, they'll end up talking to me.
Yeah, that's awesome, Max. That is quite a story. I've always enjoyed the franchise aspect of things. I had some attempts early on. I always thought big. So I was always thinking, okay, I got this little thing going now. I can turn this, we can do this across the country. I can do that. I always had that with no knowledge. Okay, so it was like, we all got the dream, but it's putting the pieces together that's not so easy. Okay. So, people always talk about, hey, I could franchise this. I go, okay, how many locations do you have now? Well, half. I'm just going to open. Do one. I go, okay, you might, this is my only advice. I go, you might want to get that second and third one open first to make sure it's duplicatable. Okay. Without you. And then you probably go talk to them about a franchise. It's really difficult to, I have one location and let's franchise, right? Do you ever, and I'm asking this as a question probably with you, Max, like, do you find that to be kind of the norm, or a lot of people have done a couple, or is that one of those requirements you have? Like, you have to show that this is duplicatable in some aspect. You're not usually beginning with one and then becoming a franchise, though you kind of did, I think. But maybe you didn't become a franchise until you started getting multiple clients, right?
Well, you just have to have a blueprint, and blueprint is different for everybody. For bookkeeping, we did not have several locations, but we had clients in different parts of the country, and we had employees in different parts of the world. So that's what gave us the reassurance that the model is duplicatable. If it is a restaurant, yeah, I would probably to have several locations, and then probably one or two outside of your regions, because you want to make sure that you can find local suppliers. And if it's a pizza shop, you want to make sure that the ingredients you buy on the other side of the US are as good as the one in your hometown. Otherwise, just the taste is not going to be the same. So, I mean, we can talk about, and it's not a franchise. Here in California now, I believe they're in 4 or 5 states. In-N-Out Burgers,
Yeah.
they are not on the East Coast. I
Right.
think Tennessee, they just opened one location. I could be wrong, because they want to make sure that they can deliver the ingredients from their factories. And that's why they're saying we're never going to be a franchise, and we are not going to open those because we can't deliver the ingredients that far.
Yeah, that's yeah, there's and just the reason for the question is I don't think people understand there is, and you just mentioned a few things. There's a lot of complexity to franchising, and there's a lot of factors. Okay, just like you mentioned, like I remember there was in Illinois, we had a white hen pantry. Okay, like a Circle K or a 7-Eleven, right? It was this whole franchise of white hen pantry. I knew a guy was one of the top guys with them, and they tried to move into Wisconsin, right across the state line. That's where I'm at in Wisconsin, right across the state line. And he said the laws were so different, they could do as a Wisconsin or whatever they wanted. So they didn't have to hold to the brand. They're selling all this weird stuff. So they finally like, we can't do it. We can't be. They had to pull out of Wisconsin because they just couldn't maintain their brand because these guys are pulling in all this other stuff. And those are just one of a gazillion things, right? So I think a lot of people, again, they don't investigate this deep enough before they get going. But there's a lot of legwork prior to doing a franchise.
Well, as a franchisor, yes, but the whole idea that as a franchisee, it's a blueprint. As long
Right.
as you follow the blueprint, there is a high probability that you're going to be successful. And of
Right.
course, you have to know your market, and of course, you have to know the product, and of course, you have to deliver. But that's what franchises are for. It's for somebody who is not an expert in this industry, can come in, buy the franchise, get trained, and then be successful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the franchisee, so that's a very important distinction. So I want to buy a Jimmy John's, okay, because Jimmy John's does the same thing everywhere I go. It's the same thing. So I can get one of those. I can get two and three and five and however that works because it's a
Hmm?
done for you system, right? So I totally get that. And I think I love that kind of model too. That the whole duplicatable the system. I'm a big systems guy, right? So I love like repeated systems. You gain consistency and everything else with that. So with and there's so many franchises out there. We could talk about a gazillion of them, and some are good, some are okay, some don't make it. I remember Quiznos subs. Do you remember them? Like they were amazing.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I think that they're still around a little bit, but they were blowing up, right? They're doing Super Bowl commercials and all this stuff, and I remember their whole tagline was toasty, right? Because they toasted their subs. Okay. So you got Subway with like 5,000 locations, right? You got Quizno building. And then all of a sudden, where's Quizno? Then I realized they go, you know what? You know what Subway did? They bought a toaster. Okay. And they started toasting their subs. And that's basically how they took out Quiznos. Like, oh, I get a toasted sub there. And then they're doing them for $5. You know, they were nothing like a Quizno sub. Quiznos was 10x the flavor, the whole thing. But it was kind of interesting, these little things that can happen in this. And I always watching that stuff.
Look, you only can connect dots backwards.
Right.
So it's hard to predict, but I can tell you that I've been around franchising for a while and I see the trends changing. Right before COVID, I was at the conference. It was probably months before we got shut down, a huge franchise conference, and everybody was talking about fitness franchise. So if you're not buying a fitness franchise, you must be an
Oh,
idiot. If you're not organized, so there were like so many gyms coming in, and guess what happened in a month? They all got shut
yeah.
down, and the big guys they made it because they were able to the online stuff and get the government help. But the new ones that were just getting started, most of them didn't go anywhere. So I can see now there are new trends, but I can tell you in a few years, my prediction, this particular trends are gonna die down for different reasons. Something else will come up.
Yeah. I'm glad I shut my gym down prior to COVID. I was done. So I'm like, I think about that. I go, yeah, I would have been like arrested because I would have never shut down. I'd be sneaking people in the
But
other way.
there are a lot of successful new gyms that are great. They just have to change the way they're doing it and how they're doing it. And yeah, but even the biggest brands are merging. So I don't know if you were, but Orange Theory merged with Anytime Fitness, and each
Oh
of
wow.
them has thousands of locations. So now they're like a monster. I
Yeah.
don't even think one bought another. I think they just simply merge. So now they can use the same vendors and a lot of shared resources.
Yeah. I was trainer of the year for Anytime Fitness back in 2012. I was working
Wow.
there briefly, So yeah, they're a monster of a company. Cool model. Okay. Back then when it started, like Anytime Fitness was a really well done model for a franchise, and you had private and corporate ownership, so it's kind of interesting, they had a little bit different rules and things like that, but it was and then a lot of other copycats, the 24-hour stuff and everything was pretty unique. But yeah, so it's the fitness industry itself is ooh, that's a monster. We had I think it was I don't know if it was title boxing. You get the boxing franchises. So it's just 50 heavy bags and they run people through workouts and things like that. I watched that. I go, well, that's kind of interesting. I'm a boxer and it's really it's fascinating when you can take a business, again, duplicate it, and then get the buy-in from people, and ride that wave. And this just made me think of something, Max. So there was, speaking of fitness, remember Curves? They're still out there for women. It's called Curves. It was a
Hmm.
franchise. Okay.
Hmm.
Like really big for a while. Like you saw them. Then all of a sudden, like they kind of disappeared, but they actually didn't disappear. They just stopped advertising so much, because you still see them like, oh, they're still open. Like you wouldn't know. Like obviously, I'm not going to Curves. Okay, I'm a dude. Okay, so but it's really interesting. You see kind of that big push in the beginning when they're really growing, and then they're able to ratchet back because they're established, or it goes to individual marketing aspects and stuff too. So I just seen that, but sometimes you actually think they're gone, but they're not. It's 25 years later, 30 years later, and they're still going. It's kind of interesting.
I haven't seen them selling many recently, so I don't even know if they offer new territories or not. I have not, followed them, but I haven't seen curves. I know they are out there, but I just don't know if they sell any new ones or not.
Yeah, it's and don't you think? Let's talk in franchise. Like you talk about trends. Like there's a. I think what I see is like again maybe they're not selling new territories. Maybe they have what they have and they're still making money doing their thing, but they're not the in thing anymore, right? I mean, so that has to have a bearing too, where you're going to kind of I don't know if they're leveling out, right? You kind of got that hockey stick thing a lot of time with franchises. If they're hot, they're kind of really growing and then I don't know if they level off. Do you see that as a point where they're like, yeah, they got about a 5 or 7 year window where they're really blowing up, and then they kind of taper off or level off rather?
It could be even less than that because there is a territory, and the whole point that in most of the franchises, the territory is protected, so you can't open another one. So if all territories in the United States are sold, that's it. And
Right.
depending on the territory, it could be one per city, it could be, three per zip code, whatever it is. But once you get there, so as far as I understand, there are no opportunities to open a new McDonald's unless it's a brand new development.
Right.
But even if that happens, most likely somebody already owns the rights for the county, and then they'll
Right.
be the first one to open. So McDonald's is not using any consultants like me because they
Right.
don't need it. If you want to
Right.
buy McDonald's, you can't buy a new one. You only can buy the existing one. And most likely, they first will be offered to somebody in their network, somebody who already owns 7 or 8 McDonald's, understands the model.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's interesting on the bookkeeping stuff. I want to jump back to that because again, we have a similar experience. 0809. I lost everything, house, home, business, had to start over, 6 little kids. So I've been there, right? That was a fun time. But a lot of people also created new things. And I love that you took advantage. You're like me, like I'm not employable. I'm just, don't come offer me a job. You're wasting your breath. I'm not going to be working for anyone. I've tried, but it's not happening. But I love that you kind of you saw a marketplace that wasn't served, right, and really started doing that because I remember like bookkeeping. No one knew the difference between bookkeeping and accounting, a CPA and a bookkeeper. They kind of didn't know. They thought it was the same thing, and I saw that evolve in the virtual assistant space and stuff like that too. So it's interesting that you kind of saw that, you grabbed it, or your wife's idea, whichever it was, but like ran with that because that's a service that's really underrated. I think like for businesses, I coach business owners all the time, and like it's not the CPA that's hard to find. It's getting your ducks in a row to give to a CPA, right? Come tax time, and that's the bookkeeping aspect. That's what really dials in the business portion of what you have. So that's a pretty unique call on that one.
And but what I've noticed after COVID, people are now more relaxed to go with the outsourced bookkeeping services. So before COVID, we heard all the time, well, I want my bookkeeper to be local. I want to meet with them in person every week. And, after that, Zoom is just fine. And your
Yeah.
bookkeeper can be at the other, side of the world. As long as the product is delivered, people are usually cool with that.
Yeah, that was a. You're right. That's a game changer. Everything shifted. with COVID. Like the whole thing sucked, and I didn't care for it at all. But what it did for business opportunity, like you said, now you can virtual. I do live stream training now with 10, 15 people. I don't have to do one on one. I don't do seminars. I
Hmm.
don't come in like we're on the move. I don't want to pull guys off the floor to train them. We'll do a 2 hour after everyone jumps on Zoom, and here we go, role playing, doing the whole thing. So it was a fascinating opportunity when I first started using Zoom. I think in 2013, 2013. It was horrible. Okay, it was awful. But like that's you got to start somewhere, right? And now it's kind of a kingpin out there. There's others and stuff like that. But you're right. Even in 2012, 2013, 2014 with my gym, that's when I was first introduced to virtual assistants and bookkeepers because we were
Hmm.
doing gyms, and it's like, how do we get this taken care of? Because we're not going to have an in-house person. Even local was like and it's interesting how easy people were kind of swayed from I need to talk to a person to like, well, what difference is it now? I'm watching the records and what they're doing. A phone call or now Zoom is a pretty easy way to go, and it is so wildly accepted now that you were kind of on the front end of that and able to really capitalize on. Did you see a huge spike in your business, the franchise aspect?
Well, I actually just started franchising. So with my luck, we got the approval the day we went into lockdown. So the first couple of years, we didn't do anything because we had to reimagine the whole business model because I had employees in different countries. And if we think we got hit hard in the US,
Yeah,
it was nothing. So
right,
my office in Barcelona, people couldn't leave their houses at all. I mean, people in Philippines, my office there, they couldn't come to the office. I mean, they had so many minutes or maybe an hour to go to a store to buy stuff. So it was like really like a curfew, and it took us a while to get the computers to their homes and make sure everybody's working and the connections and communication, whatever, Zoom and everything else. So for the first few years, we weren't really selling. So kind of sit that down, and that slowed down the growth a little bit because everything, all the research we've done and all the planning was done pre-COVID, which again, that was a
right,
game changer after that.
right,
So we
right,
had
right,
to
right.
readjust, which we did. And, you know, I'm grateful for what I learned. So it's fine. I'm not complaining, but that wasn't the plan.
Yeah, there was a lot of figuring stuff out during COVID. It was wild. I gotta tell you, I was like right in the. So I'm doing the virtual coaching anyways around the country. So I'm like,
Hmm.
well, I'm good. So like I didn't get affected. Now my people, my clients and their businesses, they get affected. So we spend a lot of time strategizing like, how do we make this work? How do we still deliver a service? How do we still deliver this product? How do we do this? Like in a hurry. And we had to figure that stuff out. It was a challenging time for sure. I'm sure for all companies. But on my side, like really trying to get in the air quote in the room, via Zoom and like talking through this stuff and getting it done was challenging but really rewarding. Like I see you, like you might have to take a year or two, but look what that caused you to develop and now kind of get that launch pad that you could just go now. Like it's pretty much there's always going to be challenges, but you go through something like that. I'm hoping there's everything like that again, where someone thinks they can tell you what you know, can do when you can leave your house. I won't be stand, but but you've got the experience now to apply that to other businesses as well, right?
Yeah. Interesting times. That's 100%.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little more. So you're on the. So are you focused on you're focused on getting people locked into franchises, being a franchisee? Is that your focus in the business?
That's the focus. I mean, I do help one company right now to franchise their concept because I went back to school when I understood that franchising is what I want to do, and I became a certified franchise executive. So I had to take classes. I mean, all online. I had to go to different conferences, seminars. Took like a couple of years to complete that. But now, that's hope giving me a hope that I know not everything but a lot about franchising, and it's
Right.
constantly I'm learning, and I'm going to so many different conferences and attend so many different online courses to learn more. So we are actually um, help can help somebody to franchise the concept, but majority of my work is for somebody to buy a franchise,
Right.
and either people who are changing their careers, or somebody who wants to have a second income, or somebody who wants a passive franchise. I mean, it's all out there. There are a lot of choices, but there is no right or wrong franchise to buy. You have to like really understand, and that's why it's a series of conversation. Like, look, a lot of people make a huge mistake, in my opinion. They mix hobby and business. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a great cook, so I'm gonna go and open a burger joint. And I'm like, guys, the fact that you cook doesn't mean that you're gonna be successful as the restaurant owner. It's completely two different businesses. And yet, somebody can be helpless in terms of cooking, but they can be the best multi-unit restaurant operator, because it's about managing people and managing processes. It's not about how to cook. I mean, Pizza Hut or whoever, Burger King, they give you the recipe. You can't make it better because your grandma used to make the best pizza in the world. You have to stick with what, they tell you to do.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So on that same topic, like what have you seen aside from that? Like I get that. Like people they think they can do this and that's not what this is, but from like a success rate, when people get into because obviously you're trying to tailor them like their drive. It's kind of like investing. Like I don't like real estate. I want to invest, but there's a million other things to invest in, right? If you don't like something, you're not going to pay attention to it. Okay. So just because there's a great opportunity in this, you may not even care for that. And it might not be the thing to do. Right. So it's really matching them up with like, what would they like? Yeah, this is a great income generator. This is the vehicle I want to be a part of in this franchise system. So let me get one, two, five of those and do that. So what's kind of the success rate, if you will, from a longevity standpoint when these people come in and they get their franchise, they pick that up, whether it's your process and what brought them to it to find the right thing, or other people who just jump in. What are you seeing from a success and failure rate?
Well, I mean, I don't have the numbers that I can give you because I just don't know the um, industry statistics on that. But I can tell you that I just came back from a conference, and we were told that there are roughly 4,000 franchises in the United States, and around 1,000 of them are stopping franchising every year, and then another 1,000 comes in. So it's almost like the same number. I've heard anywhere from 3,500 to 4,000, but it's always like a third of it, give or take. New ones stop
Less
franchising. New
knows.
ones stop franchising. So you have to see who you're going with. I mean, are you going with the brand that gonna explode? I mean, that might be a good opportunity for you, but you're taking a risk. What if it's not gonna make it? Then who's gonna provide you support? So you have to take into consideration that. Also, I mean, I first start with the investment, because if let's say you want to open a McDonald's, or like a fancy restaurant, you have to realize that your investment will be north of $1 million,
Right.
because it's not just the franchise fee, it's just the build out. It's to get the real estate, to do everything, to buy the equipment, to do the advertisement. I mean, it's very expensive. So
Yeah.
somebody wants to open a McDonald's, and if they all they can get is $100,000, in loans or whatever, 200,000. It's impossible. It's just not going to happen. So I started with that, and also I ask people how much money they want to make and how fast, and then we work it backwards from the numbers. A lot of people don't realize that, like they look at it, okay, I want to buy a business that has an existing cash flow, and I just put it on a piece of paper for them. I'm like, okay, so why? Well, I want to get $60,000 income to support myself. Okay, that's great. How about you look at a franchise that costing you 100,000 less than to buy an existing business with the cash flow, and then you just put 60,000, the money you save, towards your salary for the year. So you actually have the money to support yourself, And yet you're starting brand new business, and you talk to existing franchise owners and see how fast they broke even, how fast they started making money. And people, oh, we never thought about it this way. Because people looking at like to the cash flow today so they can cover their salary. I'm like, take it back. You can always get an SBA loan from the US government. Most of the franchises are approved by the Small Business Administration, and it's relatively easy to get the loan. You can get it done in less than 3 weeks or 4 weeks. You can get it, your loan completed, and that can pay for hundreds of different franchises. So the money are out there. The government does have the funds. They want you to open the business. They will help you.
Yeah,
Of
that's
course, you have
great.
to qualify. I mean, you have to have
Yeah.
a good credit history, and of course, you have to, have a down payment. But yet, money is available.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, there's so many, there's one thing I love about the US in general is just there's endless opportunity under everything. There's an opportunity like just it's just there. It's out there in so many different ways. Even a 4,000 franchises, oh great. But like there's even more opportunity, right? There's this and there's that. And there's all these different things, and I've always appreciated that because people like will moan to you. I don't like this. I don't like my job. I said, well, you got a pair of shoes on. Start walking. It's a big country, man. You can go find what do you want to be a scuba instructor? You can do that on both coasts. What do you want to do? Like, you can pretty much do whatever you want, and go out there. And that's the reason I love the franchise aspect because it is, and I'm going to say a low barrier to entry, even though it could be 100,000, could be 2 million, whatever. Still, for what it is, it's a low barrier to entry, right? Because everything is systemized. It tells you exactly what to do, how much to have, how to cook it, the whole thing. So when you think about that, you're not coming up with all this stuff, right? It's basically a plug and play for a certain amount.
Look, in majority of businesses, you can figure it out on your own, but the question is, how long is it going to take you? How
That's it.
much revenue you're going to lose? How much time are you going to lose? I mean, what's the opportunity cost? So that's what I tell people. I mean, I don't want to say anybody, but if you have a knowledge of accounting and bookkeeping, and if you like numbers, you can start your own bookkeeping business. But Richard, I made so many mistakes and I've done some stuff that now I would not do, that I'm teaching my franchisees during training, like, hey, don't do this, don't do that. I mean, here's what's working. So a lot of people can figure it out on their own, but how many years they're gonna spend doing it? So what if they do it starting day one and not in 2 years? I mean, that's all it is. That's what franchising. I mean, of course, there is a name recognition, but look, 4,000 franchises. I mean, I know a lot of them because that's my job, but
Right.
the average person will not know all 4,000 of them. Sometimes you don't even know if this is a franchise or not. A lot of people think Starbucks is a franchise, but it's not. It's
No.
only franchise in hotels, airports, or something that, so pretty much it's easy to say if you pay price that is more than average Starbucks price, then this is a franchise because they don't do that. But everything else is corporate owned.
That's right. That's right. It's really interesting, but you're right on that. It's really the time compression aspect. I mean, I wrote a whole book on my failures. Okay, so people could learn. Okay, so it's like it's all out there, right? So I give it to them. Just read this. You'll shave off 5 years minimum and
Hmm.
save a ton of dough. Okay, because it's just take my scars and learn from them. That's kind of the whole thing. Just like a guy like you, and once you start directing these people, like for the right fit, I think that's really important. I want to jump back to that too. Is the right fit for I'll just call him an investor. Okay, we want to call him like the business. Like you want a franchise, you want to invest, you want it to churn, you want it to make money, right? But again, I go back to like, is it the right vehicle for you? I think that's a really, really critical decision to make because people just think it's you walk in and like open the doors and you're in business, but there's still a grind to it, right? There's still accountability and everything else, and you have to truly have an interest. It's not just some ATM, right?
Well, and look, franchising is not for everybody. Some people are just not, you know, created for franchising because you have to follow the system. If
Mhm.
you are a pizza shop, you cannot start selling hot dogs because you want to. They will not allow you to do that. Okay. So if you always arguing with your franchisor, if you wanted to do it your way, then franchising is not for you. And that's what I ask people. And some are just not a good match. And then some, they are not a good match to be an owner operator, but they would be great as an investor as long as they have a manager who will do that. So there are a lot of multi-unit owners that buy 4 or 5 different restaurant system or 4 or 5 different service systems or whatever it is. And so they diversify their portfolio and make money. And that's just same as buying real estate. You buy several properties and one is making a little bit less, one making a little bit more. And that same goes on with business. But look, you have to follow the system. The franchisor will not allow you to deviate from that and do it your way. I
Yeah.
had somebody in my early days. They came in. It was a CPA firm, and they wanted to buy bookkeeping franchise. And my colors, same as franchise with Max, red, black, and white. And I said, well, our colors are, I forgot what it was. Let's say yellow and black, whatever it was. I'm like, we want to change your logo and everything to our colors so it matches. I'm like, well, it's not going to happen because it's trademarked, I mean, copyrighted and so on and so forth. I'm like, well, are you sure? If you allow us do that, we buy. And I'm like, I'm not going to allow that because I'm not going to just, change my brand because of one. And so they left, and that's fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the movie Founder about Ray
Mhm.
Kroc, and he walks up on the golf course green with the hamburger with the lettuce on it. What is this? And throws it all. And there's a guy who was into what he did. Okay,
Yeah.
it's like, and understood system. He understood consistency of brand. Right, you can't come into McDonald's and buy fried chicken. Okay,
He
but
probably is the most famous franchisor out there. A lot of people think he is the first one, which obviously it happened almost 100 years before him when franchising started in the US. I mean, but people give him a lot of credits, and rightly so, because he did a lot for franchising. But franchising is not just food. That's the mistake people make. I mean, there are insurance businesses, there are accounting businesses, there are, medical clinics, and you don't have to be a doctor to run a medical clinic. Home services, business
yep,
service,
yep,
kids, services, adults. I mean, seniors, whatever it
yep,
is.
yep. I got clients who do that stuff, but it's like well, Ray Kroc obviously didn't alive, but you ask them, McDonald's is a real estate business. That's their client. Like, well, we're not a hamburger business. We're a real estate business. Like, take
Yeah.
a look at our locations, right? Like, they're about the real estate. Okay, it's not the burgers are one thing, but they're about the real estate. So yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I do have a client, same thing, the in home care, right? Senior in home care, great little franchise. You get in a place like Dallas Fort Worth, you got 6 million people. Okay, you could build quite a business.
You can, but speaking about that, last thing I've heard, just literally last week at the conference, there are 68 senior home care franchises. 68. So the competition is pretty tough. And then most of the good markets are already taken.
Yeah, yeah, it's
So
interesting.
this is the thing because again, there is a territory. So if
All right.
Dallas Fort Worth is sold out, as much as I would want to buy this particular brand, they can't sell it to me because it's in their agreement. They're not gonna sell more than so many in the market.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you kind of sometimes you don't think of that we'll call it market saturation, and part of that is combined with the territory restrictions. But still, that's a lot. 68,000 senior care facilities is a lot.
No, I said 68 brands. I don't
Brand,
know
I'm
how
sorry,
many,
68 brands. Right,
68
right.
brands. I don't know how many locations. I don't think it's 68,000, but it's still a lot. And also on top of that, there are a lot of independent ones that are not
Yeah.
franchises.
Right,
And
right.
it's one step further. They're all going for the same talent pool.
Yeah.
So same employees. So now the question becomes, where are you gonna find people who do the work? Because the more people you can, finding seniors, believe it or not, it's not such an issue. It's finding the people who are gonna serve them.
Right. Right. Very true. Very true. Yeah. It's fascinating. Just in everything. I remember years ago talking about the auto industry. Okay. I know it's not a franchise, but they found there's like, I forgot it was like between 3 and 11 manufacturers, brands that can actually exist. Talk about territories. Like you're not going to have 25 different brands of manufacturers, right? Because they can't compete at that level. So it kind of evens itself out between about when there obviously there's more than three, but that 3 to 11 is the number. You got your Audi, you got this, but now a lot of them have merged, right? You know, Ford buys Jaguar, but then they sell that off, and they have this, and they have this, and because that's the only way you can operate.
But then Tesla came in and said, you know what? We don't need dealerships. We can do it in the shopping malls, and we don't need to have an inventory of 1,000 cars, and we don't need to pay for real estate, which is
Right.
was awesome. But nobody done it until
Right.
they disrupted it, and after that, quite a few companies followed that.
Yeah, Carvana.
Yep,
You got a vending machine that's six
yep.
stories tall. It's just, like it's fascinating. I love it. I'm looking like that's for me. I don't want to talk to a salesman. Okay, I really don't. I don't want to go through that 4 hour process. Let me just punch in the number like I'm getting a candy bar. Okay, pull out my car and drive away. That'd be cool. So yeah, I just love the adaptability of business. Finding those markets and exploiting these different aspects. And creating that new thing. It's really fascinating. It really is. So I really think you're in a cool position to see all that and be around all that because you're basically kind of around innovation all the time, right? You got new things are hitting and coming. These guys are doing it this way or that way. Do you find that keeps you kind of sharp? You like seeing all
Yeah,
that
I
cool
mean,
stuff?
I learn things all the time, and when I speak to a candidate, I depends on what they're looking for. I do my research, and I'm like, wow, it's such a cool thing. And I go back to my older clients or somebody who I'm working with in another market and just say, hey, look, I mean, I've never heard of that, but this is awesome because again, there are franchises in a lot of different fields. Some
Yeah.
I just didn't even know that exist. One of the unique ones is a franchise that only they do one thing. They take soft top from Jeep Wranglers during the winter, store it, and then change it back in the summer. So that's all they do. They only work with Jeep Wranglers owners, and they do it twice a year. So storage and changing this. So, okay, I guess it exists and they have several locations. But
Yeah,
it's not the one that, comes to mind when somebody asks me what business should I buy.
it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I see it happen with mobile detailing to stay in the car vein, right? There's these guys who have figured it out. Box trucks are rolling up. You guys, I'm working. They're out there doing my car. I don't have to go anywhere. They come, they do it, hand me back the keys, whatever, and they're done. Right? Mobile detail. Really, I helped the young man launch his. I give him the full thing. Like, dude, you got to. Well, now I got to connect with the car washes. All the car washes want to be subscription now, right? $25 a month, $30. Well, who's going to do the detailing? They don't want to do it. Go set it up. Get the QR code there. Give them a code. Work it out, man. All of a sudden now, hey, you want to get that? Talk to this guy. Boom, you got guys calling all the time. He's able to really roll that into an amazing business. You know,
But look, one of the steps that can happen, one of this membership car washes can open a sister franchise with detailing and just
that's right.
sell another one, and then they're gonna start making money both on both ends.
You're right. Just give him time. Okay. So I gave him the great idea. He's going to do it. They're going to steal it. Okay. They're going to go
Because they
because
have money and they have resources. And I wouldn't even call it stealing.
I
They're
know.
not doing
Yeah.
anything wrong. I don't see like they see an opportunity, they grab it. They
Yep.
have a full right, in my opinion, to do that.
Oh, I'm with you. I just meant that in the, in
Yeah,
the,
yeah, no, I know,
not in
Richard,
the
but
ethical sense, not in the
I'm
ethical
just
sense.
saying that's
Yeah.
what business is about. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the ideas are not unique. This is the coolest thing about you can be super successful and make ton of money without inventing
Right.
something brand new. Just follow the system. I mean, people still eat, people get sick, people want to be entertained, and so on and so forth. So just go there. I mean, find unique ways to do that, but you don't have to recreate. I mean, not everybody gonna create a Microsoft or Apple.
Right. 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 Yeah, you really start thinking about it. Like, use the car wash as an example. Like, you guys need some upsells. Great, I'm paying $25 a month. I can come every day and get my car washed, and I do because I like a clean car. But what else you give me? You got the vacuums, you got this. I'm like, no one's out here selling. I talked to my local. He's got about 7 or 8 here, bunch down in Florida. I said, why is no one out here selling? I mean, like, the stuff that gets the fog off your headlights and this and that. Why isn't someone out with a can of that demoing one headlight on my car? So I buy the can and clean the other. Okay, like, you guys aren't thinking. Like, I used to roll up to a gas station and a guy would come out and he'd do that. And he'd sell me 20, 30, $40 worth of cleaner. That kid was cleaning up during the day, pardon the pun. But you spend 8 hours doing that at a busy gas station, that one kid's making some bank. You know what I mean? Like, how do you duplicate something like that at your car wash? It's just not a difficult thing. They're selling memberships, so greet them at the gate and show them that. I'm talking about the people who are already fans, already have that. Like, they, start the add-ons, and you can increase your revenue by, 4x, without a lot of difficulty.
A lot of opportunities out there, a lot of opportunities for everybody. If somebody comes and has entrepreneurship mind, then they'll do it. But one interesting fact, most of the people who buy franchises are not entrepreneurs.
Right.
They do become one when they have multiple territories. So when they open the second, third, then they become a true entrepreneur, because before that, they just, can be very successful, but they are the business owner, they're franchisees of the model. And in a lot of cases, they potentially can make more money than an entrepreneur with less risk.
Right. Right. Very true. Very true. Yeah, everyone's got to pick their game. Right. I mean, it really is. There's a comfort level. There people. It's so varied, which I think is unique about it. Right. So you can get four completely different people and all own the same franchise. Right. Be a franchisee and all kill it in their way. One guy can have five. One can have one. One can have 15. And they all thinking differently to what they want to do, different things, but they all are able to be successful, really because of the model. And they follow the model, they get that, and then they just find a way to, again, they reinvest into the next territory, into the next franchise and everything else. So I always love that aspect about it. Again, from an entrepreneurship, yeah, it's multiple businesses, right? It's multiple locations and all that kind of stuff, where like you're saying, the single is the business owner. And again, they're run great, maybe better than all the others, but they're only doing one. Okay. I love it. I love it. Well, Max, this has been a great conversation. Really interesting, kind of diving into this whole thing and the opportunities that are out there for people. So, speaking of that, how can people get in touch with you, follow you? Maybe they're looking to get into this or whatever. What do you got for them?
Sure. And just want to mention one thing, that my services are completely free. We only get paid if somebody buys a franchise. We get a commission from the franchisor. And keep in mind, if you go to franchisor directly, they will not give you any discount. It's against the law. So you
Right.
pay the same price regardless. But, we would make a commission for working on your behalf. But I'm going one step further. I actually share part of this commission with my candidate, and I pay for 9 months of their sales training out of my pocket.
Wow.
So, because I put all my franchisee through the sales training with the live sales coach, I see the success, and I said, you know what, I'm going to be doing it. And so that's what we do. Um, People can find me on franchisewithmax.com, and then they can choose if they want to buy a bookkeeping franchise, they need bookkeeping for their business, or if they want to talk about 600 plus franchises we have to sell. Again, it's franchisewithmax.com.
I love it. I love it. Well, Max, thank you for all the wisdom, sharing the stories and everything else. What a great opportunity just to explore. So I think people should reach out regardless whether it's this or that, one of the 600 or your booking, whichever, man. Just start looking at it as an investment vehicle, right? There's things you can do with this. I love the opportunity.
And what's changing now, I see more and more younger people straight out of college looking for business opportunities. And there are a lot of franchises that are willing to work with them. It's because, in old days, people are saying you have to pay your dues before you start your business. Says who?
You know who says that? People who haven't run a business. Okay, when you run a business, you're paying dues every day. Okay, so it's like, so I kind of find that humorous. I'm with you, but that's a brilliant opportunity though, because I'm glad he went to college and all, but maybe just come out of high school and get a franchise and skip the cup because you're going
And
to
in
have to
some
learn
cases,
everything
you
anyway.
can. In
Yeah,
some, like you can buy a tax franchise right out of high school. They will not sell it to you. But there
right.
are some that they're looking for young and energized people who can go and just sell, 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 sell.
Yeah, and they work with finance. They'll work with the financing for you. I mean, it's there's I call it ignorance on fire. It's a beautiful thing when you're young and dumb and all you know is you got energy and you want to make money or whatever, like you'll do all the you'll work endlessly, right? You'll get that thing off the launch pad and you'll make things happen. So I see why they would put an investment into that demographic. Plus man, we just need more entrepreneurs in the
For
country.
sure.
We're down to like 30, it used to be a 70%, now it's like 35%. People don't understand the opportunity, what it truly is and can be. And again, walking into a franchise system, okay, it's again time compression. You spend 5 to 10 years trying to figure that out to have it run like that, and you can walk in and kind of turn the lights on, so to speak, and get going. So I love it.
Awesome. Richard, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Me too, Max. I appreciate you. All you do, keep after it. I love to see it. Love your story. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.